the act says that a quorum of the council cannot meet, and that a council member-elect acts as a quorum, is counted as a quorum, and at any meeting that's going to be held within 7 days. This meeting was held within 1 day.
I have a question.
And I'm still, and that's in the act, I think it's 2005-40, which is the Open Meetings Act. And that's something that immediately when I became a council member, I think when I just put my name in the hat, Susan Copeland's like, Judy, you can't meet with anybody that else is interested in office. Don't take the chance. Don't risk it. You could be in violation of the Open Meetings Act. A quorum is, unless otherwise provided by law, a quorum is a majority of the voting members of a governmental body. This governmental body consists of 6 members that vote. That's in section 6, I think under meetings, I'm sorry, it's in section 12, quorum right there. Our governmental body consists of 6 voting members. And then also, I think in the same document, it says that a council member-elect will count toward a quorum. So I would say we have a big problem.
I still have a question to ask you.
Go ahead, Mr.
A
Wade.
quorum, how could you say a quorum could be generated?
Well, typically,
You have to be all 3 in one meeting at one time?
it would be 4. But, as I talked to y'all about last year when they passed it, they passed a law on serial meetings, which was passed to prevent people from circumventing the rules by meeting in groups.
Tell me exactly what creates a quorum. Do all 3 or 4 people have to be together at one time?
No. That used to be the rule. No, they do not.
Okay.
And this looks bad. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, I want to ask you something else too.
There's 4 people. The newly elected councilman, by law, counts against a quorum in certain circumstances. He doesn't count a quorum right now in this meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but outside of here, he does.
Right.
So if Mr. Smith, Mr. Webb, Mr. Showery got together with,
That's the reason
Mr.
I asked you,
Platt.
did we have to get together?
not technically.
When I signed that, I put it on the hood of my vehicle and signed it. I was not in a meeting.
The 3 of you deliberate and send it to Mr. Platt, which this hints at, that's probably illegal. And we got problems.
Well, where could we get an opinion?
Why can't y'all talk to me
I'm trying.
before? Send me these agenda resolutions. I didn't get these until Brandy sent them to me an hour before the meeting.
I did not know you were not going to get them.
Not good.
I'm sure she did what the best she could do.
She did, what time did you
Mr.
receive?
Webb,
uh,
Mr. Webb,
When did you receive these?
can I say something,
Yes,
please?
ma'am.
I received this agenda along with another one dated Friday, which is tomorrow, for 3 p.m. And I called Mr. Webb and asked him last night before I left the office, which meeting do you want to have, Thursday or Friday? Because I have to accurately and properly post notices to give the public proper notice. So it's a legal meeting. He said Thursday at 6. That's all you said. And so I dropped everything I was doing and I created the legal notices and I went and posted them. And I had to put off my evening with my family to do that. And, excuse me, and I posted the notices, came back to the office and called Mr. Webb and told him that I needed the resolutions that were on the agenda because your order of procedure that was adopted by this council states that all resolutions and ordinance have to be presented in writing before the meeting takes place. You said you would try your best to take care of it.
Okay.
Then, I didn't receive anything overnight in my email when I came into work this morning, so I called Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith was away from his office and said when he returned to his office, he would put them together and send them to me at least by 3 o'clock this afternoon. And I received them, I don't remember what time to be honest with you, but as soon as I received them in my email, I forwarded all of them to Jacob in sequence as I received them, so he would have time, hopefully, to review them on his way here. That's exactly what happened.
Now,
I can document the phone calls, I have the emails.
yesterday, about 4:30, I gave you both copies of the, I think I gave to you, I don't have them here.
Yes, sir.
And I told you then, we wanted a meeting today at 6 and tomorrow at 3.
No, Mr. Webb, that's why I called you. That's why I
No,
called you, because
no.
you didn't.
When I first brought the paperwork in here, I had two sheets that showed 6 o'clock. And I said, no, that's not gonna work. I'll go back to the vehicle and get you the one that had 3 o'clock on it. And I did.
Okay. I'm sure we can produce recording of
I'd
the
make a motion to
conversation.
move on to the next,
So, okay, so I guess now,
We can't move on.
I need to ask, so I'm confused. You showed me 2 things and you said you had asked Mr. Webb, was it gonna be on Thursday or Friday?
Yes.
And that you had talked to him, he said the meeting was on Thursday.
Yes. And I didn't
So
get
what is 3?
clarification until this evening, before this meeting started, that he actually wanted 2 meetings. This one today, in case we didn't have a quorum, or this one if we did have a quorum, and if it worked out, and tomorrow if we didn't have a quorum today. So they were planning to possibly not have a quorum today.
I want to make sure.
But we have to put out legal notice 24 hours.
Yes, so I'm not able, you can't legally hold the meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. because it has to be done 24 hours in advance for a special council meeting. So,
So
the meeting
Notified
tomorrow
yesterday.
can't happen.
nothing's been noticed for tomorrow.
No, I didn't know until this afternoon.
What time is it?
All right. You're without excuse because I gave you a copy of both of those, all the literature on today's meeting and tomorrow's meeting.
Okay.
You said you don't have a copy?
I have it. That's why
Okay.
I called you, Mr. Webb.
Brandy had asked, she told me that she asked you, you gave her 2 pieces of paper, and she wasn't sure which, you said you wanted to have a special meeting. That's what I'm telling what you told me.
Mhm.
And that you asked him, so what is the date of the special meeting? And you told her Thursday, so that's what she put out.
Okay.
Yes. Or else I would have put them both together at the same time and posted them at the same time. Why waste my
Well-
time on the next day to do a separate legal notice?
Okay.
May I
You
say,
you were notified yesterday that we're gonna have a meeting today and we're gonna have one tomorrow.
may I say, our
I did my part.
city clerk has been very accommodating,
I know it.
and I regret there was a misunderstanding, but thank you very much for clarifying the situation. Now, understand there will not be a meeting tomorrow.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Thank you.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna have to look into this. This doesn't look good.
Can I ask that on
Yes.
on the changes where the newly elected members are considered part of the quorum, would that not then mean 5 would be a quorum? So,
4 is
if
still,
there's 8, counting the 2 newly elected.
quorum
The
is,
purpose of it is to discuss future business. And if this was discussed with whoever, the electee, and it's something that's gonna be deliberated in the future between 6 people, whether it be when they're elected or with this, a quorum, 4 people. Oh, man, this ain't good.
Well, the definition of quorum did not change. It's still the same. And it says, majority of the voting members of a governmental body. This governmental body is 6 people, majority is 4. You have to have 4 people to vote in favor of to pass something.
Hey, you don't even need that for Sarah meeting.
I
2
know,
people.
I know. This basically would be a serial meeting, 3, and then whoever supplied the information.
As long as 4
Platt
people are
is 4.
interacting about business. No matter if it's 1 and 3 or 2 and 2, that's a problem.
And a serial meeting applies to any series of gatherings of 2 or more members of a governmental body at which, number 1, less than a quorum is present at each individual gathering, and each individual gathering is attended by at least 1 member who also attends 1 or more other gatherings. The total number of members attending 2 or more of the series of gatherings collectively constitutes a quorum. There's no notice or opportunity to attend provided to the public. It's got to be open. The members participating in the gatherings deliberate specific matters that at the time of the exchange, the participating members expect to come before the subcommittee, committee, or full governmental body at a later date, and we're here. At least one of the meetings in the series occurs within 7 calendar days of the vote or any other matters deliberated, and that's what we're doing tonight's deliberating. So, the person that requested the public records request on the emails did it because they believe that council members are meeting and also deliberating things over email. And they believe that the council members could be using their email to circumvent the Open Meetings Act.
What is a gathering then?
2 or more people coming together to deliberate,
In one meeting, right?
No.
or a series.
Two people
What's a gathering
meeting
meeting?
here and then one of them meeting with 2 more over there, that's a serial meeting. It has to be 4 at one time. To be, but that's not it, to be your standard quorum. But for a serial
That you
meeting,
don't have a case.
no, for
No.
a serial meeting, 3 people,
We did
and
not
then
get
sending
together.
that on to one more.
We did not gather to sign that paper.
Mr. Webb, you got an agenda here with 5 items on it.
But
signed
it
by
doesn't matter,
4 people.
we weren't all together when that paper was signed.
That is deliberating.
You don't have a case.
It ain't my case.
Okay, good.
I'm hoping you don't get in trouble.
Me too.
Don't make us all look bad.
Madam President, may we proceed with the agenda?
Well, I mean,
I've
that
tried
ain't
to-
something,
That should be a case.
that's for the state using the same. That ain't me. I'm just telling you what the law is. Matter of fact, I might have to defend it.
Well,
Help
good luck with
yourself.
that.
Discussion, please. Discussion comes first, please.
The reading comes first, that's the meaning of the first reading. We read
Excuse
it
me.
so everybody here can know what we're
Excuse me.
talking about, and then we can make a motion to do
No,
something
we
with it.
do discussion first, and then we do a motion for immediate consideration and to waive the reading, and then we do roll call vote, and this is what our order of procedure has, it says what we do. So would you like to discuss this? Do you have anything you'd like to say?
We're looking for a transition here from one administration to the next, the past administration and the newly elected administration. We want it to work smoothly, and that means there can't be any disconnect. We don't want employees that don't get paid because somebody didn't sign the checks. We want everything to work very smoothly. So what we're talking about here is proceeding to change over the bank account so that the personnel who are going to be in place for the ensuing period can take over the task of signing the paychecks and signing the checks for outgoing monies during this transition period. So that's the purpose of this, and that's the whole thing. It's very simple. We just have a handing off the baton from one administration to the next as we move into this new period. As a footnote to this, we are about to move into a new fiscal year. We will move into a new fiscal year before the newly appointed, newly elected mayor will actually move into place. So we are having several points of discontinuity that could occur here, and we're trying to start the process of changing over. As, of course, you're probably already well aware that the council can, at any time, could at any time, changed over, removed the mayor from the bank accounts for any reason or no reason at all. We're just saying, let's do it now, within the next few days, next week or so, and move over and get in sync and have a very smooth transition to the next administration.
Mr. Webb?
No comment.
Ms. Francis?
Well, I think this is bull, and I think it's absurd that Mr. Smith is trying to whitewash this as a benevolent thing and as them caring about the employees and a smooth transition when it's clearly a power grab. The transition between the two regimes will happen at the end of October and the beginning of November. This is purely to take the rightful power that the mayor has as the mayor and the CEO of this city and give it away. That's my opinion, which is their constant thing that they've been trying to do for 5 years, constantly harassing.
Ms. Shari?
I have no comment.
My comment is, according to state law, the new mayor takes over on November 7th. On November 7th, it's the first Monday of November. Okay, all cities go through this. All cities go through this. On the first Monday, there's an organizational meeting held by the new council. That organizational meeting sets up who signs the checks, who does what, when, blah, blah, blah. They amend their order of procedure for their meeting if they need to. They line up everything. And this is one of the very first orders of business that they take care of. It's not something that has to be done now, unless you're planning on firing all the employees like I've heard. There should be no reason for any disconnect and continuity of business of the city and people getting paychecks and everything else. So my opinion is, you know, I could care less one way or the other, but what's wrong with November 7th when the new administration takes over? That's typically when those things happen. So my opinion is just, it's just gonna add extra work for us. We'll have to wait for people to come sign checks. We got people that need to be paid. The city pays its bills very well. We have happy vendors. And I don't wanna wait 2 or 3 days for somebody to come sign a check if we have to have something. That's the reason why the person needs, in my opinion, you're gonna have 2 signers on the check. You need both people here full time. It doesn't need to be where one person's off somewhere else and they can't come and sign a check if you have to have something. So, to me, it's just, it's not gonna function very well. So that's my opinion.
They have the power to do this. But I think it's supposed to be an ordinance, not a resolution.
Okay.
That's all I have to say. I mean, again, if this were given to me prior, I could have fixed that.
So this is illegal, I didn't even ask that, this is illegal, well, if it's
It needs
changed
to
to
be an
ordinance,
ordinance.
it would be legal, so it would be something we
It
would pass.
has permanent effect until it's changed.
Okay. All right. That's why it is very important, and all the time I ask, did you run it by the attorney? There's a reason why we have that in our order of procedure, so. Further discussion, Mr. Smith?
Well, I'd be happy to rename it ordinance.
Mr. Webb? Ms. Franson? He's done.
We could change the word ordinance.
And add the title on the top of the page. It doesn't have a title to this. So we can use the title if y'all would like, that's on the agenda that Brandon produced. If that's okay. That would have to be another amendment. Okay?
Is it my turn?
Uh-huh. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think it's sad that this council has been here for 5 years and still doesn't know the rules of the meetings, what's the difference between a resolution and an ordinance, or any of that. They've only had 5 years to get this right, but they'll have 4 more years
Amen.
to try it.
Mr. Showery?
No more comments.
Okay, do I have a motion for immediate consideration and to waive the reading?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Webb,
Yes.
Councilmember Franson,
No.
Okay, the motion for immediate consideration and to waive the reading fails.
And the matter should carry over to the next meeting.
That'll be fine. Okay, the next one is resolution forbidding Mayor Hale from coercing city personnel to act improperly, illegally, and immorally. Discussion, Mr. Smith.
We've had an occurrence that we want to make sure does not occur again, for our city's reputation is totally ruined. And without making any reference whatsoever to the merits of that particular occurrence, we just want to make sure that the city employees realize that when they realize if they should receive a order to do something that's illegal or immoral, that they can refuse that without risking losing their jobs.
Mr. Webb?
No comment.
Ms. Franson?
I don't know what this is about. I haven't a clue what this is about, but I would highly suspect that the mayor has asked city personnel to either act improperly illegally or immoral. That is a stretch.
And Mr. Shire?
Okay.
My comment, I have asked, I do know what the matter's about, and I have asked the city employees that were there to come tonight to speak. I don't think they've really had their say of anything that's happened, and I would like for them to give an account of what happened. When I went to the incident, the place, I was accused of being vindictive and having our city workers go onto someone's property to damage their property. And
Is this,
that's that. I gave no order whatsoever. I will tell you that we have a program, it's an online program, and I have access to it, Keisha does, Jason, Tyler, Rob, I think Vic and Tony and all these guys have access to it. If someone calls me at City Hall and says, hey Judy, there's a dead dog on Ward's Lane, can y'all have somebody come pick it up? Okay? What I do is I go into that program and I enter, hey, there's a dead dog on Ward's Lane at this address. Please have a public works guy pick it up. Okay? It immediately goes to Rob, Tyler, and Jason. Okay? They review it and they issue the work order. Okay? And they prioritize those work orders that come in. If somebody calls me and says, I'm trying to get out of my driveway, I can't see because there's limbs on the property next door to me and I can't see when I pull out, I put that in. And like I said, they prioritize the work. I just put in the complaints. That's my job. I put in complaints. We all do. That's how we have an efficient system, and we try to handle all the things that come up in the day-to-day. If one of the girls answers the phone and there's a complaint, I can put that in there. So on there, I don't remember putting in that, but I must have, because I had my name, I guess, as the originator to trim back a right-of-way. So I put that in there. I did not know the guys were even there that day. I don't do the day-to-day. I don't take care of the day-to-day. I don't instruct the day-to-day of the public works employees. That's done by Jason. And actually, Tyler was the one that set up the work order, not me. And I don't even know when it first went in. So, I'm sorry, not Jason, Tyler did. Did I say Jason?
No.
But Jason and Tyler are here. And Jason was in my office when he received the phone call from Mr. Webb and he received the phone call from Rob saying that there was a problem on Fire Tower Road. And actually, I didn't think it was that area. I thought it was probably somewhere else on Fire Tower Road. But I was accused of being vindictive and having public works guys go out and tear up somebody's property. And that is the furthest thing I would ever do. So, for the record, since this is all over Facebook and all over Talk of Semmes and everywhere else, and I think it's one story, I don't think anybody's ever heard anybody else's story or heard our workers. And that's who we need to listen to. Nobody's ever asked them what happened, I don't feel like, and published what happened or why they were there or how they got there or anything else. I sent them out the next day. Ms. Jarvis asked that we picked up the big limbs and take care of that. And they did that afternoon for as long as they could. They put them over on overtime. And a couple of guys had plans for after work. So I asked them to go back the next morning with some rakes and to try to clean up some of the small debris and leaves and stuff like that. And that's what they were out there the next morning for, and then they were run off again. I had them go finish that part and get that clean right there and cleaned up. So they got ran off the second day. But I would like to ask, either one of y'all can go first, I don't care, but would you get up and please tell what happened here? Vic, you're gonna go first? Oh, first of all, did I coerce you?
No, ma'am.
Did I threaten you?
No, ma'am.
Excuse me. Could you state your name,
Oh, yes.
your full name, please?
Victor Henry.
I didn't threaten you with your job.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Had you seen me that day before?
No, ma'am.
What about the day before that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Had you talked to me?
No, ma'am.
Phone, text, anything? Okay. Did I ask you to go out there?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So can you give us a little rundown of what happened, or what you saw or remember, or?
The day before, right before we got off, we were looking for something to do the next day, so Tyler said he had a work order that's been in the system for at least 6 months. During that time, 6 months ago, we were cutting right of ways, as far as mowing and other little projects going on, so we didn't have time or the personnel to do it. Now it's getting the fall, and we're kind of running out of stuff to do. Tyler said, here's something to do. So, next morning, we just went out there and started cutting. We didn't personally know that, oh, this is private property, we're not supposed to be there. The only thing we know and going by is clear the right of way back. So, when I got out there, I asked, I said, how far do we go? What I was told was 28 feet from the edge of the road. So, and it was 18 between the edge of the road to the wood line. So, when I asked, I said, do we go at least 10 feet more back? Yeah. So, that's what we were doing. And one guy pulled up and told my guys that it was his property and go for it, pretty much. He had just bought a bush hog that he was gonna cut and mow most of it. So he just said, keep on going. That's what my guys told me when I returned back over there. So we kept going. Then I left to go dump the truck. And when I came back, I seen Miss Jarvis there. And I didn't know what was going on because I was cross street in the truck. And when I got over there, she was fussing saying that we was on private property, that we cut the 50-year-old committees and stuff like that, which we did not know were there. From the front side of the wood line, you wouldn't know, and there's no property sign or anything that says this is private property. So the only thing we know is to cut the right of way, like we were told, was the work order say.
All right, thank you. Teddy? I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you, go ahead and say your name.
My name's Teddy Cloyd.
Had you talked to me that day or seen me that day, day before?
No, ma'am.
Talk to me on the phone, text, anything? Any
No.
communication with me or see me or?
No, ma'am.
So who asked you to go there, and can you tell us a little?
Alright, just like Vic said, Tyler issued us a work permit because we needed something to do for the next couple of days, and it was to clear that right away. So the next morning we loaded all our tools up and we went out there and we started cutting back on the right of way. Which, like he said, we were supposed to run 28 foot off the side of the road because that particular area fire tower has an 80 foot right of way, 40 foot each way from the center of the road.
Okay.
Well, like Victor said, a man and his wife pulled up and they told us it was their property, that as long as we didn't touch any of the big trees on the property, he was cool with whatever we was going to do because he was going to cut it. He had just bought him a bush hog or whatever, and he was going to clear out all the woods is what he told me. So we went ahead and we started going.
Can you, I'm gonna ask a question, because I asked this question. If you'd have cut just to the right of way, and I know that you said that's what y'all had been doing, but y'all both told me and Jason that there were some vines,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's why you had to go in a little further, because you had to get around the big trees that was on the right of way.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
To
as we
grab
was
the
cutting,
vines.
the vines was holding on to everything. We couldn't clear nothing out, without fighting the vines. So that's when we decided we was going to pull the vines with it, because the vines was on the right of way. Well, in the process of us doing that, Ms. Jarvis decided to pull up, and when she pulled up, she started cussing at us, told us to get off our property and everything, which we told her we was on the right of way. We had every right to be here. Well, she kept cussing us. She threatened to shoot us with a gun. Or, she said that if she had a shotgun, we would have had bloodshot in our ass. That's her exact words.
So what else,
And then from there, I called Rob when I realized there was no talking to this lady. So So I called Rob, and then when Rob got there, he handled everything for me.
All right. Okay, and you went out again yesterday to clean up the.
Yes, ma'am. We went out that morning. We were going to clean up everything like you'd asked us to. Well, upon us getting there, we just unloaded our tools on the ground. We haven't even started nothing. When Miss Jarvis and another woman, and I want to say it was a Ford Expedition, pulled up, told us, asked us what we was doing, told us to, started cussing us, telling us to get off their property. So then that's when I pulled my cell phone out, and Miss Jarvis quit talking, and the lady that was driving began speaking.
All right, so then,
We called Jason and them. They said to pack it up and to just leave.
all right, thanks.
Thank you.
And
Miss
I'd like
Judy?
to call Tyler.
Can I say something as the HR director, because I did talk to them about the complaint, and I actually sent it to Jacob as
Well, you
well.
need to come up here then.
But from what they told me in the statements I have, I was told, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I was told.
She's our HR person, so she takes statements on incidents and things that happen.
But I was told that, when Miss Jarvis got there, she told him that it was her property. But they were under the understanding, they had already talked to a gentleman who said it was his property. And I don't know if they're related or what, I don't know. My only conversation has been with them and then talking back and forth with Jacob. But in speaking with them separately, I've been told that they both said that she said if she had her 12-gauge shotgun, they would be full of buckshot. So they have asked to file because that's the right of way, and the city has a legal obligation to meet that. So, I mean, it may come to the point where we have to file charges on their behalf to protect them with the sheriff's department, and that I ran by Jacob, so that's a protection we have to afford them as city employees. So that's all I have to say about it. I wasn't there, but it's a very serious thing, especially if it's not in fact her property. I mean, so that's all I have to say.
Okay. I'm gonna ask Tyler to get up and speak. And how did you get the work order? What's the procedure? How do you assign the work? That sort of thing. You wanna add and state your name?
Tyler Hayosky, 2525 Raymond Tanner Road, Semmes, Alabama, 36575. We use a system called Mobile 311. It's pretty much just a word database entry, geolocates any position that we're at where I make a work order, or any of our administrators, whether it be Miss Judy, Jason Franklin, our public works superintendent, or any of our right-of-way supervisors, our parks and facilities supervisors. I ran across the work order. I'm pretty much the administrator for the whole thing. We have probably 180 or so work orders that are in the system right now that are pending requests. A lot of those need machinery that the city does not have, and that's why they're still pending. And a lot of that is taken care of when it's not grass cutting season, and we can get our guys to help. So we do have small crews. Teddy and Sean were the two that I technically assigned it to. I went through and I looked for a project that they could use, that they could do for a couple of days. I typically give them small projects for a day or so. We'll go out, check up on them. I've been at a planning conference over in Biloxi, and I knew I wasn't going to be there for the next couple of days. So just something that they could do, straightforward. Went over it with them beforehand. I saw that Miss Gia flagged. I want to say it was actually April 17th is the day. Don't quote me on that for sure.
I have no idea.
But I know it's been a while.
Yeah, I can't see them. After I put them in, I can't see them. I'm just able to put in the complaints.
Yeah. I know it had been a while, and that's one of the reasons I can flag based off of date that it was entered and priority on the work that's needed to be done. And so I saw that work. I have no idea. I can see the reaction from the families. I have no idea who y'all are. It's really just work that needed to be done. I look, we measured the right of way based off the maps, and the data that we received, 80-foot right of way, like Teddy spoke about earlier, and that's typically from the center of the road. And from that, that's 40 foot either side. I went out months before that doing inventory of our assets, roadways, linear feet, ditches, curb and gutter, you name it, road widths. And I took the data from that inventory that I had done, and it was, I want to say 24.5 foot is edge to edge of the road. And from that, we made the determination of how far from the east side of North Fire Tower Road that they needed to go off. That would constitute as the edge of the right of way. When I went out there and checked on them, I want to say it was about 12 o'clock Monday or Tuesday, whenever the situation happened. Tuesday. Whenever the situation happened, I did make a comment saying, I said, "Are you sure that we went the appropriate length?" And they told me about the gentleman that had come up saying that it was his property and that it was, okay for them to go around where they were getting. That way they could get the vines. I supervised their work for probably about 30 minutes while I was out there. Didn't see any issues with it, and was going to go check on them later in the day after lunch. Of course, after I left, that's when the whole situation went down with the concerned citizen, that it was their property, and the whole incident took place. From there, it was out of my hands. But as far as whether or not there was discrimination on behalf of any of the administration or staff, no. When it comes across my desk, it is work that needs to get done, work that is an issue, whether it be for public safety, whether it be for drainage, you name it. And that's part of my job description, is to make sure that work is done. And so that's why I gave them a work order. So, yes, sir.
I have a question, Tyler. I know everybody is capable of making mistakes, but just before you get to where the work was being done, there's a sign there that says county maintenance, begin county maintenance. And what was being done was really not in the city limits of Semmes, according to that map over there.
Jason can talk to you about that. He actually, we talked about that this morning, so Jason can probably answer your question now.
I will say this, our right-of-way that we technically maintain as a city.
Why are those signs out there?
Those signs are out there because it's based on,
Let the
we
county
maintain the right-of-way per se, based on if the city has both sides of the road. That's what technically constitute us, till we're legally bound. If we have both sides of the roads, we have to maintain that right-of-way. There are certain areas that we have with Mobile County. There's some off of Wolf Road where we technically don't have both sides as a city, but just as a means to make sure that it's taken care of in the way that we think it should be done, we take care of it. And we were actually speaking about that specific area when Andy, what's his last name? Andy Newberry, which is over the Road and Bridge Camp 1, right there on Schillingers and House Ferry. And we talked about right-of-ways in different areas. And he actually thanked us for areas that we did that didn't necessarily fall underneath our domain, that we were legally bound to do, but that we took care of to make sure that they got done. Because sometimes with the county, and as much as they have to maintain, it takes a while.
Well, let me interrupt you. I think there's Mr. Webb, you probably know this on your road, there's several times that we go in and out of county
Some of them
maintenance.
are about 20 feet apart.
Right, so what we do is rather than pick up and move around, we just go right through it. So in the instance that you're talking about on Fire Tower,
Jason Franklin?
I'm sorry, Jason Franklin. The instance that you're talking about on Fire Tower, the signs are on the west side of the road, which I think is on the Jordan's property.
It's on the east side where you were cutting.
Yes, but the signs are on the west side, which means that side is not annexed in. From our maps, it shows that the east side is annexed in.
It's a tiny
Yeah,
little
that's
street
the
along.
Jordan's property on the west side.
Driscoll owns that?
It's not on the
Or
west, it's on the
Jackson's?
east.
I can't remember.
The signs are on the west side.
Signs are on the west side.
If you're southbound on,
Fire
Fire Tower Road, it's on the left side.
Okay, I didn't.
That's east.
Yeah, I know it's east, but
Yeah.
I saw the signs on the right
I
side.
think we probably have some pictures of that.
Well, whatever the case may be, we
Yeah, but
we
I
were
just
doing-
wondered about it. Like I
Yeah,
said,
that's right.
that when I began, people make mistakes. all
We did
make
do that, and like I said, even if the sign, whatever side of the road, if it's just a short section, we do it anyway. And that's just,
Yeah,
we
I
have a
would-
gentleman's agreement with the county. If they have a little area that's ours, they'll do it if we do it. I mean, you can see on my Prairie Road, there's a lot of places that we don't have that we just cut anyway. But the whole incident here, I take full responsibility because I should have reviewed it. I should have went out there and checked on them. I didn't, I was doing something else that day. We did go off right away, but it wasn't on purpose. I apologize to Ms. Jarvis. I know those trees meant a lot to her. And I don't think that the guys would do anything vindictive. They don't own the property. They don't get far into it.
We're happy with what they did. Let me say that. You do a good job.
But we did get off right away, I admit it. And I'm sure it happens other times, and most times it's not a big deal. But this was a big deal because I know those trees were important to the Jarvises. And I do apologize. I take responsibility.
I went through there today. The signs are the leaving Semmes jurisdiction and then going back into Semmes jurisdiction is on the west side of the road. The west side of the road, we do not have the west side of the road. That piece of property that's owned by the Jacksons or the Driscolls is not in the city limits. The
Your map
Jarvis,
is incorrect then.
no, sir, I checked the map too. The property on the east side of the road, the Jarvis property, has been in the city limits, I believe, since incorporation days. It was originally in there. But that is, could you show him, please? The other thing I'd like to say, the guys are very careful with private property. They try their best. They are not gonna intentionally tear up anything that anybody has. You know, their jobs are on the line if they mess up, and it's, you know, I've gotten one call, and when they weeded it around somebody's mailbox, and they cut down a morning glory sign, and, you know, we apologize profusely, I mean, and that was something that was on the right of way, but our guys do not deliberately try to tear up anybody's property. I mean, I will vouch for them. And
From this town, why wouldn't we do that?
right. And I appreciate what y'all do. Y'all do a good job. The other thing on the right of way, I feel like they would not have gone because they know not to go on private property. And they both told me that they had permission from someone, and I don't think they would have gone on private property if they didn't have. But we have revised our procedures, and it doesn't matter if the person says they're the homeowner or property owner or not. These guys are not going to go on anyone's private property, regardless, from this point forward. So we have made a change to that. And this man's had his, can you come up and speak, please?
I wasn't expecting this, but I've been accused of things. Tom Amick, A-M-I-C-K, 4060 Fire Tower Road. Yes, I am a property owner right there. There's another Jarvis right next to us, and there's another Jarvis right next to us. As soon as we heard that they were cutting, I went in there, and I do not see the young, it might have been you, I'm not sure it was you. Yes, sir. First thing I says, what are you guys doing? He says, we're trimming back. I says, by whose authority? And they said, Miss Judy. Okay? Now that's what was told to me. All right. So he went, come to you, right? He come to you?
Call him.
Yeah. So he came up to me, and I says, what are you doing? First of all, they said they're going 30 feet. Then they said 40 feet. I says, okay, that's great. Clean mine off too, because 40 feet is not what they cut. Not only that, they started, Mr. Perriman's property is right here. They started on Susan Jarvis's property and working towards Tony Jarvis's property, working towards my property. Okay? I came back a second time and I pulled into Perriman's driveway and I looked down to see what they were cutting. They hadn't touched the Paramore property. Hadn't touched it. They should have either started at my side and go that way, or Perriman and that way. But no, they go right into her property and go deep, no measuring tapes, no thing. But I did not give them permission to go on there. Go to the property line, the easement, that's legal. But they did not do it. They did not do it, and they blamed it on you. And that's why I called you vindictive.
Well, no, well, I'm not vindictive. I wouldn't tear up anybody's property.
But I did not give
wouldn't tell these
anybody
guys to.
permission to go as deep as they went. I was all fine and good. Go the legal 40, they told me 30 feet first. Then they said 40 feet. Okay, do it. But they went another 12 and a half feet.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, I think.
But why did they start at Jarvis's property rather than starting at Paramount? Because I drove into the Paramount property, they saw me, didn't you? See me go in there? I drove in there, got right with the line, and they're well in to the property now. They hadn't touched the Paramount.
We looked at it on the map. Would you bring up the Mobile GIS? Mr. Perryman lives in a house just south of the woods.
Yes.
The next piece of property Ms. Jarvis owns is 105 feet. The next parcel, frontage on Fire Tower.
Tony
they did
Jarvis.
not. Yeah, but no, the first one is Susan Jarvis.
The next
it's
one is Tony
105.
Jarvis.
Okay, and they had not, yeah, they had not touched Miss Susan Jarvis's property. They actually had started in the middle, which was, I can't remember the man's name, it's either Michael Jarvis.
Jarvis.
So they had started
sorry.
in the middle, I'm sorry. So they did start in the middle, and I did ask the guys, why did you start in the middle? And they said when they pulled out of Public Works there, and they come around, that's when they got over on the side of the road, and they attacked it from the middle.
But that's my biggest question was,
Yeah.
why did they start where they started?
Yeah, and that was the only, it
And
wasn't.
why didn't
the-
they, I mean, why
Yeah.
didn't they come to my house and start first?
Yeah.
And work from the north to the south?
And that's something.
Then we would have seen how much they were taking.
Yeah, and I don't, sir, I really do not think they
But
deliberately did that.
I did not give them permission to do what they did.
Well, I am, and like I told Ms. Jarvis, I'm sorry, it was not.
You haven't told her
deliberate.
yet.
Yes, I did, I told her Tuesday. And, you know, the city did not deliberately do anything, we would not deliberately do anything. These guys know that they could, their job would be on the line if they tore up somebody's
They were very polite. They were very polite. They
nice,
said
yes.
they're going to go the 40 feet. First it was 30, then it was 40. And so
I think
Can I say this, the 30 versus the 40? 40 is coming from the center line of the road,
right?
and where they talked about the 30 initially
Was
was
probably-
rounding off from the edge of the road because the road's
I understand that.
12 and a half.
But the 40 feet was legitimate. But you didn't go to 40 feet.
I think that was a mix-up. They probably went 40 from the
Sign
edge
of
pavement
paper.
instead of 40 from the
Right.
center line.
And that's what the whole complaint is. You're still on private property. The 40 feet is not private property. Private property. We accept that. But I did not give anybody permission to go in deeper.
I think we must have been misunderstanding.
And I think it was a communication thing, I do. I mean, the guys, I'm telling you, they take their job serious, and I have confidence in them, and they do, they really try. These boys really work hard, and they do a good job, they really do. They would never intentionally tear up anybody's property. And I would never ask them. If I did, I don't need to be mayor, I don't need to be doing what I'm doing. And I would never ask them anything like that. And I think it was heated exchange, people were upset.
Ours wasn't even
But,
heated.
I'm gonna, someone sent me something today that is a very good rule of thumb, and I saved it. If there's ever the thinnest possibility of being wrong, admit it and ask for forgiveness. And I think we did that. I mean, Jason did it, I did it. We're sorry. And I told Ms. Jarvis, I said, if the guys got carried away, I am sorry. It was not deliberate. My thing was, it was not deliberate. It said, but if you are 100% sure that you're right, stand your ground. Never sacrifice your integrity or honor. And I think that is awesome. And at that point, I'll tell you that I didn't know. I really didn't know.
Well, your name was mentioned.
Yeah.
The very
Well,
first thing.
Well, they're going to tell people, well, the mayor, yeah, we work for the mayor.
Miss Judy.
And it's not, I know. And they're great guys. They're great guys. But, and I think that people were just upset. And yeah, I will tell you, I promise, and I will vouch for them. They're not. Yeah, I'm gonna have Christie come up too. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think, you know, the biggest thing, the biggest rule, or the biggest lesson to learn from this is communication. You know, sometimes we just need to cool off, calm down, sit down and talk about things like adults. And, you know, I know tempers get heated, but we just need to, you know, we can deal with the problem then if we can calm down and get to the root cause of it. So that's important.
My name is Christy Johnson. I live at 4101 Illinois Street. Couple of things I want to address on this regarding the property. This is personal private property. One concern before I get into the personal aspect of it is that why we're creating work for the crew and the finances that are involved in creating work from the city when there's maybe not work to be done. That's a concern. So I'll just say that. Don't want everybody to stay where they are, but if we're trying to create work and jobs to keep people employed when there's not really work, that's a concern regarding fiscal responsibility.
Yes.
Okay. Regarding this piece of property, this is personal, private property. I understand if the work order was put in a long time ago, that's not what was said that day, as Tom Amick said. Over and over again, it was, Miss Judy gave us this ticket, okay? Regarding clearing right-of-way, first of all, as you gentlemen mentioned, there's at least an 18-foot right-of-way right there right now. It's cleared, the grass is mowed, and it's fairly consistent with most of the brush line along Fire Tower Road, okay? By the way, the county maintenance signs are on the east side, which is on the which is along the Jarvis property line, okay? Begin county maintenance, end county maintenance. Begins and ends where the Jarvis property begins and ends. And I don't believe those properties have been annexed because upon speaking with family members, they don't remember signing anything upon the incorporation. Okay, so go in and start clearing right away. Nobody's really sure, y'all don't know, is it 30 feet, 40 feet from the center of the road? So you go in and you start clearing. And by the way, the Jarvis family is a very old family here that's been in the nursery business for many years. And if you're at all familiar with the Jarvis property on the corner of Fire Tower and Highway 98 and Von Jarvis's nursery, they've got some of the oldest camellias here in the city. And we're so concerned about our history here with Semmes and preserving that and so forth, yet we are mowing down 50 to 75-year-old camellia bushes back there. It is the intention of that family to move their homestead on the corner of that property onto that piece of property someday. And they were looking forward to getting to pick which trees and bushes and camellias got to stay. So it's personally very upsetting to those family members. The family members that are involved are Anthony Jarvis, who butts up to Miss Carol Jarvis, who's the sister in the back row sitting next to her husband. The next person is Michael Jarvis, and the next person is Mary Susan Jarvis. They all own that property right along there. The problem with that is Again, she was told by her sister and brother-in-law that y'all were just kind of trimming things back. That's fine, no problem. So, but the work continued. So, of course, when Miss Jarvis goes down there, she was losing her mind. And the crew was not being responsive. They were not saying they were going to stop. They kept insisting that they were going to continue to clear the property, which, by the way, Mr. Amick's comment was also correct, in that they had cleared beyond even 40 feet from the center of Fire Tower Road, anywhere from 10 to 12 feet in some places. Vines or no vines, you still legally do not have the right to go beyond that line on the property. You have now entered into private property once again and even deeper. Okay? So Ms. Jarvis was upset. I think curse words were flying around. She never cursed you personally or called you personal cuss names, but she was cursing. Please don't interrupt me, sir. Okay, so I totally believe that. And she told me that. Ms. Jarvis doesn't own a gun. As her roommate, I know that personally. Those words have never come out of her mouth in 25 years I've known this woman. She does not have a gun. She's never threatened to shoot anybody. She doesn't even know how to shoot a gun. Okay? So that's ridiculous to make that kind of a statement. Okay, so Mayor Hale came out, said she didn't know what was happening, apologized to Ms. Jarvis several times about it. The crew finally stopped work. They went away. Everybody's sorry. I will even say, now, unfortunately, because of the incident, because of the stuff that just went on with this election and with the involvement that Ms. Jarvis had, it looked really suspicious when you have a piece of raw land sitting here and this crew goes in to start cutting right in the center of it, not where the tree line starts over here, not where the tree line starts over here, but oddly enough, right where Michael Jarvis and Susan Jarvis's property comes together. And you know what? I even said, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, okay, let's play devil's advocate. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. But then the very next day, which was yesterday, and you're right, you did ask them to clean up, and I will say they did a fairly good job. It was better than I expected. That evening after I looked, because I do want to mention this, is as we're talking about right-of-ways, I went and just drove around Semmes before it got dark for just maybe 10, 15 minutes. And I found areas all over Semmes, right in the heart of Semmes, right across my house in this lot across the street on Illinois and Church Street, down Wolf Road. Matter of fact, by the Semmes fire station. The lot right next to the fire station has shrubs and growth that is actually closer than the Jarvis property line was to begin with, to the road, to Wolf Road. Right there by the...
I know, it's not in the city.
Okay, and I realize that, but I'm just mentioning that. There's other areas, which I'm sure some of them are in the city limit, as I know it is the piece across from me on Illinois Street. It is not anywhere near 30 or 40 feet cut back off the center of either Church Street or Illinois Street. There are other places that I drove around as well, where they've got brush line, and maybe not all of it's in there, but I know some of it is, where it is closer to the road than where our property line originally started. So again, why are we starting there? And there already was an 18-foot right-of-way that was clearly mown, nice, trees weren't overhanging, that's a straight line street, this was no safety concern, it was no visibility concern, there are no utilities running through there. So also too, when you go to start clearing right-of-way, you generally have to have a purpose to do it, you just don't do it because, especially when there's already an 18-foot right-of-way consistent with the rest of the property on Fire Tower Road. So the next morning at 7 a.m., we drive down and never believing, Mary Susan wanted to go down there, and I never dreamed that the crew would be back there. And when we stopped, and I was driving the Silver Expedition, we asked what y'all were doing, the crew was doing. The crew told us that they were coming back and had an orange cone placed back on the property where they said they had the right to continue to clear 30 feet right away. And Miss Jarvis said, she was sitting in the car. We stopped right there on the edge with their hazards on. The passenger side was near the guys, so she could talk to them. She was like, what are you talking about? Now this time, I was in the car, so I know what she said and didn't say, and no cursing going on. She was like, you've got to get off the property right now. Again, the crew continued to argue with her about leaving our private property.
Property, or were they on the
They-
right of way?
No, they were on the side of the road with, again, a large bobcat that they had taken onto our private property, which has now ruined the ditch there. And it's created, now there's no slope, so all the water's gonna go straight into that property because of this heavy, like Caterpillar bobcat piece of machinery that they are using to clear, driving all over the property. Wait, please. So they were getting all that out, and they were telling us not that they were cleaning up, Mayor Howell. Not that they were cleaning up, and they told us that you had asked them to go out. I don't believe Jason knew about it at all, from what I understand. And they did not tell us once that they were there to clean up what had been previously cut. They told us they were there to continue the cutting of the 30-foot right-of-way. And that's when I didn't get out of my car, I opened the door, and I stood on my running board, and I leaned over like this to talk to the guys. And I said, I am requesting right now that you all cease and desist from this activity and remove yourself immediately from this property until we can get this matter resolved. This gentleman continued to argue with me. One thing I also take offense to is a moment ago when you got up here and spoke, you said that we were both cursing and everything else. If I may remind you, you videoed me on your camera. There's not one curse word that came out of my mouth. You did. A second ago, it's on the record, you said we both were cursing that morning. So I take offense to that. Anyway, so I told him very politely, please, but sternly, please get off this property right now. You do not have the right to be on here. And they continued to argue with us. I said that we had been speaking to our attorney, which we are going to pursue, because, I mean, a polite request the day before didn't get them off. So what are we supposed to do as citizens of Semmes? I have to worry about every morning now, the crew coming back onto the property. Do we have to keep vigilance on their every moment of every day to make sure, after they've already acknowledged, and they did that day, that first day, they acknowledged they had gone too far. And if that had been it, and you had not come back the second day, I could have thought, okay, I mean, I completely understand accidents happen. I get that. I realize that. But first of all, people should know the right-of-way before they're going on private property. They should not argue with the citizen. When asked to leave, at the very least, they should stop what they're doing, not continue, contact their supervisor, and then leave until it can get resolved. So I think this was handled extremely poorly. The fact that it continued to happen is very upsetting. And I mean, I woke up this morning and I was afraid, do I need to go back out there and look again?
I guess what I want to clarify, were they back on your private property again?
Yes, ma'am, they
Okay.
were.
Well,
And they were telling me
They
that
cut
they were telling me that they were continuing to clear the right-of-way into our private property.
Well, I will tell you that Jason was there. We worked with them until it got to the point they're on overtime. They had other things to do after work. And they cleared all the big stuff off. And we talked about them going back out there with rakes, not trimming up, but trying to get the part that was trimmed up and raked up. We're already talking about having to probably sod that area. That's the stuff that we're prepping for that, to fix that area through there, any damage that's been done. Then there's no problem with that. The city will do that. But is there a problem with them? Are y'all gonna have a problem with them trimming the right-of-way?
We're going to have a problem with them coming onto private property. Right
Okay,
now,
but
there
they can go on the
exists,
right-of-way.
Right
No.
away.
there exists right now 18 feet off of that road, which is consistent to the rest of the property.
But what
Excuse
I'm
me, the
asking,
property lines along Fire Tower. And I want to ask them, why do we need to cut back any further if the 18-foot line is consistent with the rest of the properties along Fire Tower? Why do we need to continue to cut back into this woods when there's numerous other properties in the city of Semmes where the brush line is much closer to the road than ours even was at 18 feet?
so I'm asking,
that's
I
what
guess
I'm
I need to
asking.
ask, is there a problem with them working on the right-of-way?
I don't think that's the right of way, and I also have concerns that that is part of the county maintenance line. So there are concerns about that. So yes, I would think certainly until this gets resolved a little bit further. A moment ago you were talking about communication.
Yes,
Why are we
absolutely.
still talking about sending this crew out right now when this is still up in the air? I'm sure there's plenty of other work for them to do in the meantime. And I think it was poor, but please.
I think that we need to clean up what we did there. I think that's important. We don't leave right-of-ways or anything that we've cut back. We clean it up and we make it neat, and we've always done that. And that's what they were sent back out to do. They were not sent back out to cut anything else on anyone's property. Did y'all cut more today on their property?
They did.
Did you cut more on their
We
property?
didn't cut anything.
You didn't cut anything today. No, they went,
When you came out the other day, they had, I'd say maybe 30, 40 feet. Now, it's another 10, 15 more feet cut.
so I'm gonna
On the
ask
private property.
y'all just got this stuff unloaded today. Well, I will tell you, they
That was
only,
not today.
okay, well, we need, this is a meeting. They went out to clean up. That's what they said they did not cut anything else.
We said
They
they
just
did.
unloaded their vehicles or whatever. They went out to clean up. They were not out there to cut
That's
anything.
not what they said, Mayor Hill. That is not what they said,
they
and they
did not.
They
repeated.
went to finish the job, and the job was for them to go out there and clean up and rake.
That's not what they said. That is not what they said.
Well, and I'm-
over and over again, as I was speaking with them, and as Ms. Jarvis
We're
was
not-
speaking with them,
You
they
know,
kept
we're not-
insisting
really?
that they were going to clear, by God, they were gonna clear the right of way. They had the cone, they had an orange cone stuck back on the property where they were telling us they were going to clear to that cone, that was their right of way. They never said anything about cleaning
Well, is
up
there
or
a
raking
problem? Is there
or
a
anything
problem
like
with
that.
Jacob, is there a problem with them working on the right of way?
Then
Okay.
do it down, all the way down to the Perriman's place. Do it all the way down towards the old Jarvis house.
Okay.
Go 40 feet from everywhere.
Well,
Do not
it
do,
depends on
just
what the-
pick us.
Yeah. No, sir, no, sir. Look, they cut the right of way all the time. They have to clear into the right of way. This right of way, and I have pictures of it, had actually, all the vegetation, which is on the server, had grown halfway into the ditch. It's a drainage issue at that point. Can you, go over to, admin, photos, and then down, 26, go down toward the end, and it's got Susan Jarvis property incident, and then you could you turn off that light back there, one of those lights for this side?
By the back door, by the back door.
Yeah, by the back door. And the reason why the right of way was put in there to be trimmed is because the vegetation had grown halfway into the ditch. And I had
No,
taken,
ma'am.
yeah, I
No,
had
ma'am. These guys have been doing a great job
here, it's-
cleaning that.
it's halfway into the ditch, that's the ditch. I'm parking
No,
this.
that's the corner of Mr. Perriman's
That's the
property.
Perriman's
not
property.
mine.
That's what I was telling you.
I know that, but that's the ditch right there. It's
That's-
Guess what? That's not annexed in the city, so y'all got a problem, don't you?
Yes, ma'am, it is annexed.
No, it's not. And if it is, somebody falsified some documents when they annexed it.
Again, what I'm trying to say is right now, when this is in question, when it's in question, why are we so determined to go back and force them in on that area? Let's get it resolved. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's figure out the maintenance. Let's
Ms.
figure out all
Johnson,
of that
Ms.
stuff
Johnson,
before we keep sending them back in.
I agree with you, but they were not there to trim right away today. They were there to clean up and finish that part through there and clean it up.
Okay, but that's
And
not
if you
what
would
they
like-
said.
And if you would like to make an appointment with me and Jason, we can sit down like adults and do this, and that's the way it should be done. This should
Absolutely.
not be done in a city council meeting, and, nobody deliberately did anything, and this looks bad for the city, and it looks bad for these guys, and it looks bad for everybody, and it's plastered all over Facebook and talk of Semmes and blah, 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 and why can't we just be adults? You can call City Hall, make an appointment with me, I would love, that's my job, I'd love. Jason would too, we'll work it out.
Okay?
That's the way we need to handle
But
things.
let me just say, I believe these guys are doing what they thought they were supposed to do, but they were very argumentative, and, not this gentleman right here, but again, I will reiterate, when we asked them to stop over and over again, never once on the second day, which was Wednesday, never once did they say, man, we're just here to clean up. We're just gonna rake and clean up and get the rest of the vines. Never once. As I mentioned again, they had set a cone back on the property again and said, we're gonna finish clearing the right of way. Never once did they say they were just there to clean up. And if you remember, I said to you, and I said, gentlemen, Don't you think under these circumstances that it might be good to wait and find out what's going on before you just continue going forward? And this gentleman at least stopped and called his supervisor to talk to him about it and find out what he did. And I believe when his supervisor told him to leave, he did and was very polite about it. But I just don't understand why we keep going back into the same spot when obviously this is an issue and it needs to be resolved. Let's not send that crew back in because that's not what they were saying, that they were going to clean anything up.
I have a question, why can't we let the county handle it since it's in the area of responsibility? They're responsible for that.
It's the only portion, on the opposite side of the road, not the Jarvis side. And if that's the case, we'll look up, I'll be more than happy when we meet to look up who got the petition signatures on incorporation for that property. Because that was originally in the city limits. I am like almost 100% sure. So whoever got that petition signed and got that annexed or incorporated into the city initially, that's what we need to look
I
at.
would like to see
Yeah.
that. And
So
also, if you have a right-of-way
copies of that.
document that shows, what the right-of-way requirements are, I'd appreciate that too.
So, but please, when you go back through, if you would tonight, go back through there. The jurisdiction signs are on the west side of the road.
They're not, they're on the same side as the Jarvis
Could
property.
you pull up Google Earth? And I looked on Google Earth and I drove by there and I promise you, it's
You
on
can't miss the signs.
it's on Mr. and Miss Jordan's, their
No,
side.
it's on the east side.
Carol, it's right next to your property.
Actually, one of them is in front of their field on the side of the road,
Which is on the east side.
west side.
One on the right, east.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll look at this real quick, just to make sure. But we will meet. I would like to meet. We'll work it out. We'll get it all done. And, nobody,
I know, but you realize you can't grow back 50 to 75-year-old camellias that the family cultured. Some of those, y'all, just so you know, for the history of Semmes, some of those varieties you can no longer find anymore in these fields. There's probably, what, Carol, 15 acres of camellia fields when they used to plant them in the ground. They didn't used to pot them. When they first began, they planted them in the ground. And so there is over 15 acres of planted azaleas in the ground, fields of them back there. And some of those are old varieties you can't find. And here we are concerned about the city of Semmes, and we're mowing them down, excuse me. And if we don't know, if the gentlemen don't know what a camellia is, and they're cutting them back, it'd probably be good for them to know.
Well, let me ask you a question, just to if, because there were several that I know were cut down that were in the right of way. What do we do about things like that?
Well, again, I think we have to go back to what is the right of way.
Right, and we do
And is
have
it
a,
annexed in the city?
right,
So-
we do have a surveyor coming out, because we're gonna get a legitimate marking of the right of way on that front side. I've already got that set up, Jason's got that set up,
Okay, well, I appreciate
to make
it.
sure. And I mean, because we all need to know, we'll have it marked.
Okay.
But we will work with y'all however, I mean, we're not trying.
Okay, well then
to
let's
cheat.
not send the crew out again until we can get it.
Well, can I send them out
discussed.
there to fix that one little
No.
part? Right? You don't want that?
No.
Okay. Well, because that's one of the things
No.
that you said
No,
you
ma'am.
were worried about water pooling, and
No,
I
ma'am.
agree.
Not right now. Let's
Just
let's
make
get it.
all the
Let's
fire tower the same way.
no. Let's. I don't. They
No,
don't need to be on the
no, I
Jarvis
understand.
property right now. Let's just get this resolved first,
Okay.
and then after that's resolved,
We
then
will.
they might be cutting. They might be fixing the drainage or not. I don't know. But let's just get this issue resolved first, please.
Move to adjourn.
Did you- No, sir, I'm not. Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Motion fails. Motion to adjourn is always in order. Order of procedure.
I'm sorry, the computer's not
It's
reacting
just a
very
little
well.
slow. We'll just keep trying with it. So now I'm gonna have to ask, we did the motion to waive the reading or did we just do the discussion? Okay.
Good discussion.
So, our next order of business on this. Do I have a motion for immediate consideration and waive the reading
Which
So-
one?
on the resolution forbidding Mayor Hill from coercing city personnel to act improperly, illegally,
Item C,
yeah, and immorally?
8C.
Okay, so do I have a motion for immediate consideration and waive the reading?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Webb,
Yes.
Councilmember Franson,
No.
Why don't you say yes, and then we can vote it and get it over with.
All right, immediate, okay, yes.
Mr. Showery?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the motion for immediate consideration, waive the reading carries. Any further discussion from council? Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
I want to point
Second.
out again, it says $1 million penalty in it.
Okay, yes, sir, thank you.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second, roll call vote.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Webb,
Yes.
Councilmember Franson,
No.
Councilmember Shirey,
No.
Mayor Hill.
No. The motion to adopt the resolution fails.
Does he still have the right to speak?
Mr. Blackwell would like to speak, it's up to Mayor Hill.
Okay. Is it about this, because we've kind of finished discussion on this topic, Mr. Blackwell? Yeah, what topic would you like to speak on, Mr. Blackwell?
Pardon?
What topic?
The way that Jarvis was treated.
Does it, Mr. Blackwell? Yeah, that's not a topic of this, it's not on here.
I'm a citizen of this town.
Yes, sir, and we have public comments.
You don't tell me what I can do.
And Mr. Blackwell, please sit down.
You mistreated these people. They've been friends of mine for 40
Counsel.
years. You run over. But the day is over. You know who's gonna take care of this?
Mr.
Attorney
Blackwell?
General, United States
sir.
Attorney, and the IRS.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right, resolution for accountability, discussion on, let's see, this one. First of all, Mr. Fuller. Is this a legal resolution?
The fourth paragraph, again, we've been through this, I don't know how many times. Semmes is a Class 8 municipality. We have under 6,000 people. Paragraph 4 applies to Class 5 municipalities. The city of Mobile. A little bit of a difference between Semmes and the city. I
So
don't know
this-
how many times we have to go through this.
So this did not follow the rules of.
The first paragraph
Are you-
is fine.
Okay,
Second paragraph, you know, whatever. Fourth paragraph is not a statute that applies to city. You know, we've been through this, I don't know how many times. There are different requirements regarding the budget, finances for Class 5 municipality, for each different class municipality.
yes.
And again, not that I agree with the law or disagree, it has anything to do with it, that's what it is.
Counselor, may I ask a question? In view of the fact that the council is responsible for the finances of the city, finances and the equipment, physical property of the city, this is true, right? We are
Yeah.
responsible for that.
Yes.
And in view of the fact that we have been denied over extended period of time, written financial statements, we have nothing to go on. We do not have a printed budget for this year. We're in right now, we're fast approaching the end of. We do not have a printed copy of it.
Unfortunately.
We do not have anything to work on so that we can do our jobs and fulfill our responsibilities. So I'm asking you,
I would
if
like
this
to-
does, if this does not apply, what does? Because we have to have the financial data in writing, in print,
Show
so
me the
that we
code.
can,
Show
so
me
that
the
we
code.
can fulfill our responsibilities and do our jobs.
Show me
What,
the code.
I'm
show me the
asking,
code
I'm
where it's
speaking,
written.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking with our attorney. Would you please tell me what applies? What do we have to go on?
The law for Class 8 municipalities. All the mayor is required to do is update the council on the financial condition of the city twice a year. That's it. Not my idea, not that I agree with it, but that's what it says. If you want to try and do this, that, and the other, then you need to, y'all need to work together and put together an ordinance
We did.
to do that.
We put together a resolution that I would bring to the city council on a quarterly basis, the financials, and we would review them. And we have done that.
We used to
And-
review them,
We used to
A lot.
review them every month.
and it took forever.
We reviewed every check that was written. I know there's people that come to these meetings, and they lasted for hours. And we went over every check. And I gave the council the opportunity to review am I right, Jerry? To review yes, sir, and Mr. Webb, you were here. And Mr. Smith was here, and Mr. Smith refused when I would bring it to the council and I would try to get their approval on what had been done on the financials. Mr. Smith refused, saying that they were unaudited financials and he would not approve anything that was unaudited.
Excuse
So
me,
I said,
Excuse me,
no,
that's a
I'm
false,
talking.
that's a false statement.
No, it's in the minutes, check the minutes, that you approved. And so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna do what the state law tells me I have to do, and I'm gonna bring it twice a year, and I do that. Okay, and I do that. So then we discussed it again, and we had another discussion about it, and Mr. Baker brought forward, well, can you bring it to us on a quarterly basis? So on a quarterly basis, all the financials are put to be transparent, not just something that this council's looking at. I put it on that screen so you can see everything. And that is done on a quarterly basis. So we are doing double the amount of financial transparency that is required by Alabama state law. Number one. Number two, this council approved the budget. They had the budget. We worked on the budget. They had copies. They had the paperwork. There is a printed budget. Miss Randy, is there a hard copy budget?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There is one. It's a public record.
And the minutes show where the budget was approved and reviewed in detail.
Okay. Mr. Shirey, you remember a printed budget? Okay. So why do these two guys keep telling everybody we do not have a budget?
Quit saying we tell everybody.
I heard you tell everybody at the senior center. I was
That was
there.
everybody?
After it got out.
Well, you keep carrying it too.
No, sir, we don't go
I
to
don't
the
talk
Hickory
to
Pit and
people.
spread stuff.
Oh, well, I love talking to people.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I
so
love
know
listening
that.
to them too.
this
We know that.
whole
Yeah.
resolution, let's go ahead, motion for immediate consideration and to waive the reading.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Webb,
yes.
Councilmember Franson,
Yes.
Councilmember Shirey,
No,
If you vote yes, we can vote it.
okay, yes.
It's up to you, not up to me. And
And
my
Mayor
vote is yes. I would love to consider this tonight. Okay, further discussion from council. Do I have a motion to adopt?
No.
Wait, further discussion?
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead then.
I have further discussion. For the last, 4.5 years since I've been on the finance committee, every single month, we sit in this room and we go over every single solitary check that this city writes. We go over every resolution, how much has been spent against each resolution. We look at all the discretionary funds. We look at the gas tax, the 4%, the 5%, the 7%, the this, that, and the other. We have $6 million in the bank. They think she's stealing, and how we got $6 million in the bank, I don't know. But anyway, every time this comes up, I ask this council, please come to a finance meeting so that you can go and see every single check and every single account that's in this city. And nobody does it. So this is ludicrous.
Ms. Tina Davis is on the finance committee, Brandy's on the finance committee, DJ Wally's on the finance committee. Have y'all ever seen these two individuals come to a meeting?
Nope.
Do we go over every check that's written by the city? Do we go over every balance, every resolution balance, every budget versus actual, every discretionary fund, everything? Do we not review the reconciled bank statements?
We do.
Okay. We do everything, and that's what the finance committee is for. And if there are questions, please come to a finance committee. You'll hear me read off Alabama Power, this amount for Station 3 electric. Alabama Power, City Hall electricity, this amount. We read off every check. So we don't have to sit in these meetings because these two guys didn't want to hear it. We don't waste everybody's time. If you're interested in the financials, please, I beg you to come. It's awesome. It's interesting to listen to see where the city's spending money. How much is the power bill at City Hall? You want to know? Come to this finance committee meeting. Great information for anybody that's wondering about it. You want a copy of the budget that we're operating under right now? There's something called a public records request, and you fill it out and you give it to the city clerk. Within usually 24 to 48 hours, if it's not over a weekend, the city clerk will be more than happy to present you with a copy of the budget that we're working under, that everyone in this city council voted on, and it was approved by a majority vote, or it would not have passed, and I would not be authorized to spend 1 cent. If that budget was not passed, we would close the city down and send everybody home. Okay? I cannot spend money that this council has not approved for us to spend. Period. I could get into trouble. Okay? It's important that I come in under budget in all these departments that this city has. So when you hear somebody say, Mayor Hale paved a road and our council didn't approve it, guess what? That's not true. This council approved it. Period. So the lies need to stop, and it needs to go. It's my turn to have my discussion. We're talking about it, and I'm the last
I have
one.
one too, so
You have one.
I need another one.
Explain to me how you spent $750,000 without the council's approval.
Mr. Blackwell, it is not public comment time. Please sit down.
Well,
I said, please sit down. You're out of order.
explain that to me.
I will tell you, I will ask you again.
Don't explain it.
Mr. Blackwell, if you interrupt this meeting one more time, you will be removed.
It's fine. I've been thrown out a better place than this.
Okay. Okay, discussion from council. Mr. Smith, where are we at on this? We did the motion for immediate consideration,
Yeah,
right?
it passed, so now
And that passed, and we're to discussion from council, and we went through that, right?
yeah, now
Mr.
it's
Shirey
time.
hasn't spoken.
Mr. Shire. Okay.
Okay, before I would even consider this, paragraph 4, 6, 7, and 8 would have to be completely struck because they're dealing with personalities which has no business in this kind of resolution. So,
Okay. All right, and the other,
and that's it.
I would like to know, on the back, it said that the city of Semmes transferred control of $1 million more or less to Tim Hale and Mrs. Hale. I promise you, nobody's ever transferred $1 million to me. I promise you that, I would not be here.
And I'll be with you.
My tail would be in jail. Nobody's ever transferred $1 million to me, so this is a crock. This is idiotic. This makes no sense.
Wishful.
So you can go ahead and scratch that last paragraph too, because,
Motion to approve.
so Mr. Webb had a comment, Mr. Webb?
I was wondering how we got the prices on the work to be done on the streets, the repaving of the streets. And any of you want to see what kind of work is done by these so-called super duper contractors? Come in on Eastwood Drive and see what they've done there. Let's go from there with it.
Okay. Mr.
One
Franklin.
street, this, Red Creek Drive South is paved, but it's just patches along Eastwood Drive.
I can explain that.
Okay.
The,
Okay, Mr. Franklin.
The Red Creek, south, I think it is, that we did pay that, resurface that because it had a lot of damage. Eastwood had a lot of damage as well, but it was mainly in the wings, and we didn't have enough money to spend to
Okay.
do all of it, so.
About that.
Yeah, so we just did the areas that were causing the water to get into the base and mess it up. I'd love to repave the whole thing, but we just didn't have the money left over.
Some of
That's
those,
the sorriest work I believe I've ever seen. I mean, it's, if you want to check it out, look at it.
the new paving is bad?
He's talking about on
The
we
patching,
patched, we did
just,
some patching.
Oh,
It's a
well, not-
temporary, it's temporary, it's not,
Okay, and
Consider-
the other thing, not all of Eastwood is in our city limits. So, usually on those where we have streets that
wait
are
a
like,
minute now. What is not in the city limits?
not all of Eastwood Drive.
What is not in? Is the dead end around there or what?
No, there's places all the way down Eastwood that are in and out of, you go in and out of the city limits several times.
yeah, where those signs are along.
The streets?
Yes, sir. So usually when we have
You
a
gotta have
street,
both sides and all that.
you have to have both sides to pave it. Usually where we have a place where the city limits is in, then you're out on that road and it's county, then you go back into the city limits. What we try to do, which is a really good thing to do, we try to team up with Mobile County and do the part of the pay-as-you-go. So that way we can use their funds and they can use them on our behalf for the city limit part, and they can also use them for the county part there. So we have to kind of pick and choose on some of that stuff where we are going in and out of the city limits.
And we had a little bit of money left over in paving, and so rather than wait until we can resurface the whole road, we just Band-Aided it, pretty much.
We did the best we could with what we had.
No.
Okay, any other comments?
Okay.
Okay, do I have a
Yes,
motion?
I have a comment.
Okay.
The reason I say that the mayor's statement was false, that I was complaining about the monthly reports not being audited, that's absurd. There's no connection whatsoever. The monthly reports are never audited. We just get those on a regular basis. Audits are done at the end of the year. What we were missing was large checks. All the small checks, routine checks were being written, but then when large checks came through, we never saw those. So that was what I was talking about. And I was asking for a balance sheet which showed tied together all of the records so we could see the entire picture instead of just being shown the $7 checks and the $12 checks and all that. And those don't need to be read out. 200, 300 years ago, sure. But today, we just print it all out on a paper, we study it, look at the totals, and we're pretty much done. Maybe ask about one or two items. We do not need to have somebody read through the entire check register for us. There's no way to grasp what's going on in the whole picture or see the whole picture when you're spending all night in the weeds. You do not need to sit up until midnight reading through the check register. Just print it out, hand it out, put it on the internet, on the website, and let everybody see. And don't try to hide anything. Don't let anybody think you're trying to hide anything. Just put it right out there so everybody that's interested and concerned can see it at any time.
I have another comment then. Are you interested and concerned? in the finances?
That's why I have asked for the information to be printed out and put before us, put before the public, all the time, continuously. And that
Are
way
you
that
interested-
everybody who's interested can
Are you
know.
interested enough to take the time out of your busy schedule to attend a finance committee meeting and you can get those details that you're looking for?
Not to sit up all night to hear somebody read through the check register and then to leave out the big items that we really are concerned about.
Let me, I can take a poll. Brandy, do we leave out big checks?
No, every check is accounted for, and it comes directly from our accounting software. Every
DJ,
check.
do we leave out big checks?
No. Even voided checks.
Even voided checks. Ms. Tina Davis, do we leave out big checks or any checks, or do we cover all checks?
And I think they're all covered.
You get the report, you go through it with us, okay? We don't deliberately leave out checks. We don't do anything like that.
Our meeting is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So it's not a nighttime
And we
meeting.
never leave past 6:30. I mean, if you just take the time to sit down and focus, you can get it done.
Yes.
And what would be wrong with putting the financial report out on the internet, on the website?
That's not my decision to make.
I understand, I'm not asking you, I'm sorry. I'm asking the mayor because anybody, including high school children or young people who are studying economics, could look at it and see the picture. All of us that we're interested in can read a financial report, would read it, and we'd see everything that there is to see.
Okay, we done? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So move.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilmember Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Webb,
Yes.
Councilmember Franson,
No.
Councilmember Shirey,
No.
Mayor Hill.
No. Motion to adopt the resolution fails. Our last one. I hope.
May I make a motion, since this is my resolution, that we table this until our next meeting where I can have it better prepared, because this is not my copy. This is not what I submitted.
Oh, hold on, I don't have that one. I don't
Come on,
think.
this is the only legitimate one we have.
But
Please,
but it's not, it doesn't have everything that I put in it. And I thought I sent you a copy of the one that has the dollar amount, the cost of the thumb drives and stuff. We can amend this one and I can put that in, because I remember what it was.
Jerry, let me tell you something. If you come up to City Hall and do a public records request, it's $1.50 per copy, If you come up with a thumb drive and do a public records request and you give it to Brandy with your own thumb drive, she'll copy every one of them over there and won't cost you a dime.
I can do that.
And any council member can do that. It's an electronic copy, it will not cost you a dime. Please do. It's interesting, I go in, and some of the big cities, they do have all theirs on there, or they have it under this company called Unicode, I think is what it's called. And it is kind of interesting. Municode, that's it. And it is pretty interesting to do that. If we had a full-time web programmer that could keep up with every little thing, if we were the city of Mobile, hallelujah, we could do that, but we're not. You know, we need to stop trying to be somebody we're not. But we don't have a full